Let's look at some MATLAB commands for creating matrices or generating matrices. The zeros, ones, rand and rand_n are the normally used commands for creating matrices. The zeros command creates a matrix of all zeros. The ones command creates a matrix of all ones. The rand command creates a matrix of uniformly distributed random elements. The rand_n command creates a matrix whose entries are normally distributed random elements. Let's look at some examples. Zeros 2, 3 creates a matrix of zeros of size 2 rows and 3 columns. Ones 3, 2 creates a matrix of ones of size 3 rows and 2 columns. Rand 2, 3 creates a random matrix whose entries are uniformly distributed random elements of size 2 rows and 3 columns. Rand_n 3, 2 creates a random matrix whose entries are normally distributed random elements, the size being 3 rows and 2 columns. This is the syntax for rand_n and rand commands and all of these 4 commands. Now let's look at some approximations with numbers. The commands which we use for approximating numbers are round, ceil, floor, and fix. The floor command rounds towards -infinity. The ceil command rounds towards +infinity. The round command rounds towards the nearest integer. The fix command always rounds towards 0. So all of the 4 commands do rounding with different theme each time. The fix command rounds towards 0. The ceil command rounds towards +infinity. The floor command rounds towards -infinity, and so on. This diagram shows how these approximations happen. So floor rounds towards -infinity. The ceil rounds towards +infinity. Round rounds to the nearest integer. Fix rounds towards 0. So this point, for example, rounding this point goes to 2, whereas fixing this point goes to 1. Flooring this point goes to 1. Sealing this point goes to 2. Let's look at this point. Flooring this point goes to 0. Sealing this point goes to 1. Rounding this point goes to 1. Fixing this point goes to 0. Let's look at this point, which is on the negative real line. Floor of this point goes to -1. Ceil of this point goes to 0. Fix this point, it goes to 0 again. And round this point goes to -1. This point, floor of the point is -2. Ceil of this point is -1. Fixing this point rounds towards 0, which is -1 again, and rounding this point goes to -1 again. So this is how the 4 commands work. Let's look at some examples. Floor 1.1, floor rounds towards -infinity, so it goes to 1. Ceil 1.1, ceil rounds towards +infinity, so it goes to 2. Round 1.2, round command rounds to the nearest integer, so the nearest integer is 1. Round 1.6 rounds to the nearest integer, which is 2. Round -1.6 rounds to the nearest integer, which is -2. Round -1.2 goes to -1. The fix rounds towards 0. So fix 100.2 becomes 100. Fix rounds towards 0. Fix of -100.2 is -100. Fix -1.2 should be fixes rounds towards the origin, so it's -1. Fix -0.99 is rounding towards the origin, which is 0. Fix 1.2 rounds towards origin, which is 1. Fix 0.99 rounds towards 0, which is 0.